Welcome back to the Cozy Arts. I hope you have a stack of squares ready to be worked together because today we are crocheting them together. You can see it better on this blanket that I made a few years ago where it's going to be slightly raised on the good side and then flat on the wrong side. So let's get into it. The side that you've been working on and staring at the whole time is your right side. The wrong side, it just kind of looks a little bit lumpier. It's not a huge difference, so it's okay if you can't really figure out the difference. It just looks a little bit lumpier. If we look at our double crochets, they all look a little bit smoother, and here we can see more of the axes in it instead of just smooth curves. The back side we can see more V's and more X's, as well as this lumpy bit right here is a little more pronounced on the wrong side. So now our next step is to crochet a million more. So we've got all this sewn together to save a little time through the magic of television. So now, ooh, this one is upside down. So I'm going to make sure that these are all right side up and the way that I want them. Then I'm going to take right side and pinch them together. So the right side on both sides is out and the wrong side is touching each other. There are different ways to join. This is a pretty simple one that gives a nice defined effect, and on the other side it can really blend in if you have the same colors. But we're going to get this yarn out of the way, pinch them together. I'm going to put my hook through the loop that is closest to the next one. So on this side it's the back loop, on this side is the front loop. I'm going to fold my yarn over, pull that through, yarn over with both the tail and the working yarn, pull that through and then pull it all the way through. So now our tail is loose. Tighten that up. And now we're just going to do the same thing. We're going into the two touching loops. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through. Oh no. I've got this little thread that wants to get into the mix a little too soon. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. We're just doing a single crochet on top. And I'm using an ombre yarn to bind it, just because I happen to have one that had all of my colors in it. And I've never done this with an ombre yarn before. So I don't know that I like it, but we'll see when it's all done. It's really hard to tell at this stage what it's going to turn out to be sometimes. Okay, so now we are coming into an area where we have all this extra thread. So we're going to make sure that we're going underneath it when we go under and over it when we go over, so that it all gets worked into and hidden inside. So we're going under and over so we have this trapped. And if it gets to be too much, if you start picking up too many threads, go ahead and cut the one that's been with you the longest. So now I have gotten into the corners on both of these, and we're going to move on to the next one. So we're going to do the same thing where we're going to make sure that the right sides are both facing out and the wrong sides are facing each other. And we're going to rotate this so I'm dealing with this yarn right now and I'm not saving that for a later problem. Now we're going to go into, we're picking the top of the corner. Pick you up over here, top of the corner. Top of the corner to you. Sorry for bumping you there. And then I don't want this white yarn with me anymore because it won't blend in color-wise. I'm going to carefully snip that yarn over. And then we have a little bit of space here, so I'm going to give it a little tug. And carry on as I was before. Okay, now we're going to snip, leaving a few inches, and pull that all the way through. As long as we've done all of one direction, you can now turn and do the other direction. But I did this one already, just to save some time. So let's do this last one. Same as before, we're going to pinch them together. The main difference for this is just when we get to the intersection. Now we are at this intersection, so you can just skip over it and move on to your next. So you can just skip this and move on to your next bit, which I did for this one right here. Or what I did for these two is I did a slip stitch. So I just went underneath the bars here, did a slip stitch, and then we carried on the same as usual on the other side. We're at the corner of our square, so I'm going to go corner to corner just to finish that up. Now, normally when I get to the end of a line, I'm going to cut this and leave a tail, but since this is the last of the joining seams that I need to do, I have all of my horizontals and all of my verticals done. I can just carry around and make a little border. So I'm going to start with doing a single crochet border. I'm going to stay in the back loops, and I'm going to do a back loop only single crochet border all the way around my work, and I'm going to be capturing and crocheting over all of the ends as I go. So this is the same thing. You're just going to make sure you're going under and over each of the loose ends. And staying in the back loop only here will keep it consistent, so we will still have the same extra line of bars that we have where we did the center loop only, I suppose we can call it, join. Now when we get to the corners, if we want to keep this nice and clean, then we should be doing similar to what we did before, where I'm going to do 2 single crochets here, and then I can carry on right now. The single crochets are small enough that we're just going to do 2 back loop only single crochets in each corner piece, and that should help keep our shape. So I've got single crochet, increase, single crochet, single crochet, single crochet. So every time you get to a corner, not of like the square, but of your blanket or whatever you're making, do an increase in the corner. Now we're coming back to where we started this row of stitching. So I am just going to continue until I get a little closer. Now I'm just going to slip stitch into this right here. Now what I could do is I could go ahead and chain 3 and then do a round of double crochets around, but I have some regrets in this piece. I don't know that I love the variegated yarn in this granny square. I feel like the colors were a lot stronger before I added that. So, ooh, I'm going to not undo all of the work that I've done, but instead of continuing my border in this variegated yarn, okay, cut it off and switch to, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Is it gonna be red, green, or white? I think it's gonna be the green. I really love this dark pine green. I love this green. It's new to me and I just want to use it all the time, and I'm gonna have to get my hands on so much more of it because it's just a beautiful green. This is dark pine from Lily and Cream. And what I'm going to do is I want this border to be a little bit thicker. My personal piece is really small. The double crochet is a bit big for it, so I'm going to do a half double crochet, which is kind of like a double crochet that you give up on halfway through. So I'm going to chain 1, 2, so do 2 chains and pull all these loose ends tighter. And now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to treat this like a double crochet in the beginning. So I'm going to yarn over, and then I think I'm still going to go back loop only because we're doing a color change. Pull through, yarn over, pull through. Now for a double crochet, I'd pull through, yarn over, pull through. But for a half double crochet, I'm just pulling all the way through. Do that again. Yarn over. We're going to go through this back loop because we're doing it back loop only. Pull through, yarn over, all the way. So this is giving us a taller stitch than the single crochet, but it's not as tall as the double crochet. Now we are at a corner, so I'm going to do an increase here. So I'm going to do 2 of these half double crochets. I'm going to chain. Then I'm going to chain 1, and then same thing again, 2 half double crochets. It looks like I skipped a thread and I missed a thread of my yarn, and I don't like the way that looks, so do that again. Excuse me, where'd it go? Okay, so now we have a nice corner. We're just going to carry on now and do the half double crochet. Okay, this yarn is just really making a mess here. I'm going to carry on and do this all the way around. And remembering to make our corners when we get to the corners. Now we are back to where we began, so we are going to do a little slip stitch. Then I'm going to do a couple more slip stitches just to make that really secure, just to secure things. And now I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a bit of a tail. Pull that through. And now all we have left to do is weave in this tail. So I'm going to flip my work over, and I haven't done any weaving in. I've been crocheting over my loose ends and snipping where they like to come through. snipping where necessary. But other than that, I have not weaved in any of my ends yet. And you can see I've got one. Got one that I missed, and it looks like I already carried this up. So this has gone through some. I could just cut it off here and it would probably be fine, but since we're gonna have to weave in that top one anyway, I'm gonna weave this in a little bit more before I cut it. What I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm weaving this into the white so it doesn't peek through. So I've just got a tapestry needle. I have my yarn through the tapestry needle and just kind of trying to get it into the middle of some stitches here. And I think I'll do one more and then I'll cut it off. So that should be enough. So I'm going to trim that one. So we've got one that was already partially worked in and I just finished working it in a little bit more. And then we have the end, which this should have been the only one I had to weave in because there's not anything working over it. What you could do, of course, is you could add more layers if you wanted to do maybe another single crochet of a different color, or add scallops, or do single crochet and scallops. Like, you can keep going and build this. So at some point you're just gonna have to call it. And I'm gonna call it now. I was thinking about doing some scallops so I could show you how to do scallops. I did scallops in my ghosty video if you want to check that out. The problem with doing it for this class is I don't know how many squares you did. I don't know what size it is. So actually being able to do the math to tell you how to figure out how to do a corner, I'm not going to be able to do that. I haven't made that many blankets, and I think I only did a scallop with one or two of them. So I might not have the best advice. So let's just finish it up. Let's just weave these in a bit. So I am going into the middle of things, try to hide my green. And we're just gonna work this through until we feel confident that it is secure enough to snip. Thank you so much for joining me today on our Granny Square journey. I'll see you next time for more fun projects. Bye!